The Comet is one of the most recognizable cars in the Grand Theft Auto series, and I really have loved what Rockstar have done with the Comet over the course of GTA Online. Not only releasing the original, but releasing some of the other variants. The Comet Safari, which is more of an off-road vehicle. The Comet Retro, which has a ton of customization. But does the newly released Comet SR stand up to those other great additions? In this video, I'll be going over the pros, the cons of the Comet SR, and ultimately answering the question, is it worth it and should you buy? Now, right off the bat, let's talk about some of the pros. This thing looks great. If you are a fan of the Comet, you will love the looks of this vehicle. And if you love Porsche in real life, you will love the looks of this vehicle. And sort of going off of that, this is one of the few cars that looks fantastic with carbon fiber. Pretty much all of the stock parts are carbon fiber, so the best part, you don't even need to pay for them. In the gameplay, I just went with a simple metal with a white pearlescent with the carbon fiber, and I really do like the simplicity and the looks and how it came out. Another thing that I love that I think is kind of underrated, the engine sound. This thing, like the XA21, has a really awesome and unique little engine sound. Now that's something that maybe some people don't care about, but for me that's important and I did want to mention it. And one of the final pros is the handling. This thing has grip. Unlike the regular Comet, this thing actually sticks to the ground. The regular Comet, you can see here, when I'm going somewhat fast around these corners, it spins out or it loses control. You lose the traction. Pretty much anytime I would brake even slightly, the regular Comet would slide out. But with the Comet SR, you don't really get that. Yeah, it happens every now and then, but that's going to happen with every car. But you can go pretty damn fast around corners without having to brake, without having to use your handbrake, simply by just letting off of the gas and letting the traction work its magic and basically grip this car to the ground. And that is going to help tremendously in free roam if you are going around a ton of corners, like say in the city, or even if you're doing a race that involves a lot of turning. That traction is always good to have on a racing vehicle. Now, with the pros being said, the cons, let's talk about them, because unfortunately this vehicle has quite a few. First off, the price tag. It is $1.1 million, and I just don't think it's worth that price tag. The reason I say that is because a lot of the other sport cars in the game, like the Masacro, the Jester, they are significantly cheaper and have the same, if not better, performance. Now, yes, this is a newer car. It has some newer features. It looks a little bit nicer. But apart from that, you don't really get much else with that price tag. And one of the main disappointments for me was the customization. Yes, carbon fiber does look good on this vehicle, but that's really all you got. Pretty much every option is either the primary color, the secondary color, or carbon fiber, and there's really not much variety between all of the different options. Now, the primary paint job and the secondary paint job are in somewhat decent locations, but another disappointment was that the cage on the interior of the car, first off, you can't remove it, and second off, it actually goes on it's based on the primary color and not the secondary color. Also, on the interior, there's nothing that you can change. Like even the white stitching in the car, you can't even change that color. So customization is just not good on this vehicle. There's no liveries to make it stand out, and there's really only a few additions to the body that actually set it apart from the regular Comet. I hate to say this, but it almost seemed like Rockstar went the easy route on this one. They're like, you know what, just slap a new Comet together, tweak a few things, put SR on the end, and boom, that's it. If this had some really awesome liveries, really great customization, this could have been a fantastic vehicle and a must buy, but unfortunately, the customization is very, very lacking, and if you don't really like the stock look, there's nothing much you can do about that. And then one of the final cons is the performance. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, for $1.1 million, you're gonna expect something really good. But in the airport drag test here, we have the Masacro top left, the Pariah top right, the Comet SR bottom left and the regular Comet on the bottom right. Now clearly the Pariah is number one. It is going to beat any car in the sports class. But I was at least expecting the SR to compete with the Massacro, the race car edition. And it really doesn't. I mean, yeah, it's not horrible, but the Massacro race car actually beat it by a little bit. And the most shocking thing for me, the regular Comet basically had the same performance in this test because they got to the finish line, or they hit the little pole at the end there at around the same time. And considering the regular Comet is like 10 times cheaper, that was very disappointing. Now in terms of top speed, it does have a little advantage over the Comet, the regular edition. It's very slight, but it seemed to go a couple of miles an hour faster. The one thing though, and you'll notice in one of these clips here when we're on a straightaway, the regular Comet actually takes advantage of that suspension bug where the car for no reason just gets an insane boost of speed. And I think that's because it has the race suspension, whereas the Comet SR, I believe, only goes to the sport suspension. It doesn't actually have that lower suspension. That really isn't going to matter much in free roam or even racing for that matter, because the suspension bug is kind of odd. It happens randomly, it seems. So I would give the advantage to the Comet SR here in top speed. But when it comes to the Massacro, I wanted to test its top speed against the Comet SR. And the Massacro race car actually seemed to be a little faster in top speed as well. So not only was the Massacro race car better in the airport test, which determines sort of acceleration and how high or how fast you can get to that top speed, but it also performed a little better in just the straight line test, determining top speed. Another disappointing thing about the Comet SR is that it's not a four-wheel drive vehicle. It's only a two-wheel drive, so you're not going to get that really good acceleration like you will with a four-wheel drive. So those were the pros and cons. Now getting into the question of should you buy it, this is a hard one for me because yes, it looks amazing and it's a Comet. I mean, who doesn't like a Comet? But it really does feel like Rockstar were a little lazy on this one. If they would have had some really good customization, I would have been perfectly fine with the price tag, even though the performance is lacking. But it has no customization, so really what you're getting with this car is just the base looks. I'll say this, while the performance wasn't as good as I hoped it to be, if you are racing with it against the Massacro or the Jester, I don't think it's going to matter that much. I mean, it's right behind the Massacro, and if you're a good enough racer, you can beat people. But the thing is, like I mentioned, the Pariah breaks the entire sports class for racing. So this car is irrelevant, like every other sports car, for racing, because the Pariah is the #1 car by a mile. Now for free roam, it is somewhat fun to drive around because you get that traction and you don't slide around that often. Basically what it comes down to, this is by definition the Comet 2.0. The SR is really an improvement over what was an already incredibly capable car. So you definitely are going to be getting an upgrade. However, is that upgrade worth 10 times more than the Comet 1.0? For me, that answer is a no. So I would say you should not buy it. Maybe wait until it goes on discount if you really, really want it. But it really does suck that we get these awesome cars like the Camacho that has a ton of customization, really fun, and it's actually worth the price tag. Yet we get something like this, which could be great, but they don't use it to its full potential. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on the Comet SR. If you bought it, let me know. If you didn't buy it, let me know why. But thank you all for watching. Please drop the video a like if you did enjoy, subscribe for more awesome GTA content, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.